Taylor, is on the line in Nashville. Hi, Taylor. Welcome to the EntreLeadership podcast. How can I help?
Hello, Dave. How are you?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So I have a kind of a situation. I'll just, start out with kind of what we do. My husband started a welding business at 19. We've kind of been through many seasons over the last 5 years, but right now it kind of feels like we are starting over. We do fab and install of structural, miscellaneous, and architectural metals. We're a welding shop. We currently have myself, my husband, and 3 employees. Last year, we did $1.4 million in revenue with 14 employees, and this year we're projected to hit around $800,000 with a goal of $1 million in revenue with those 3 employees, myself, and my husband.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. You have $1.4 million with 14 employees?
Yes, sir.
And you have 4 now?
Yes, sir.
What in the world?
Yes.
Where did everybody go?
We got into a bind, and we actually just about a month and a half ago had to lay almost our entire company off. It was the hardest day that we have ever had. It was the most heartbreaking day. But that's kind of where we are. We're kind of,
So you're not making a profit on $1.4 million with 14 people?
Well, we had a lot of things that kind of transpired over the last year. We took a bad job. And so the problem that we're having right now is that one bad job that we had to float put us in a lot of vendor debt. And so the vendor debt is what we're trying to catch up on. We were in a lease for a building, and the landlord actually took out money that they told us that they were taking out the funds and didn't actually take out the funds. And so that overdrew our account $17,000. So at that time we had to lay off.
They didn't take out the funds, you said. If they didn't take out the funds out of your account, how did you end up in overdraft?
Because they were supposed to take the money out on the first day of every month, and we did not catch that. Our books are kind of a mess right now. We've got to get our cash flow down pat.
But they didn't take it out. If they didn't take it out, how are you $17,000 short? You should have $17,000 in your account that you owe them because they haven't taken it out.
They didn't take it out on time. And so on a random Tuesday, we got into our bank account and it was overdue $17,000. And
you thought it was already out. It wasn't.
Yes, sir.
So you were managing by the account rather than by accounting. And
yes,
you thought you had money in there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys suck at bookkeeping. Okay.
Exactly.
I got it. Okay.
So, but that's what we're wanting to fix. That's my reason for my phone call today.
Okay. How long y'all been doing that? How long? You said he started when he was 19. His own business?
Yes. This is year 5.
Okay.
Started.
And did you the year before this mess? Did you make a profit?
I don't believe so.
We don't have any idea. Did you not file taxes?
We did, but I don't know those exact numbers.
Did you pay taxes on a profit?
We got a little bit money back.
You've been paying money in through the year?
Like $600 back.
But you paid money in through the year? How do you get money back? You're self-employed unless you're filing money, unless you're taking money and filing it in 941s and you put in too much for yourself. You don't get a tax refund when you're self-employed.
So last year, the difference was I was not, I was working at another job. And so that was the difference.
That was the withholding that you got back. But that has nothing to do with the profit of business. I'm asking, did the business pay taxes on profit?
No, sir.
Okay. So you're not making money. You're not making a profit.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Wow. That must be terrifying.
It is terrifying, but
what did you quit your job?
I did, because at the time we were doing better. The last year is when it fell apart. So we took a job.
No. The last year is when it was exposed. It was never together. It couldn't fall apart. You've never made a profit. If you have, it's been very, very small. I'm not sure he's even making wages. Okay. Wow. All right. Let's stop a second then. Let's back up and start fresh, because basically we need to drive a bulldozer through your lack of systems and cleanse this thing and start as if you were starting a business from nothing.
Yes, please.
Okay. So you need to go and get in touch with one of our endorsed local providers for taxes and find out if they have a bookkeeping service as well, because you need a bookkeeping service. And then you probably ought to plug into Elite with EntreLeadership. As a matter of fact, let me just give you a membership for a few months into Elite and get you with a coach.
Okay.
Someone needs to help you sit down. You don't even have a business model. I mean, what do you all sell? You sell welding, and then
so we're a fabrication, and we fabricate and install different things. We get contracts, and so we go around and do it's whatever our contracted jobs are. We do travel some, but we do miscellaneous.
Okay, give me an example of a job.
Handrails, dock stairs.
Okay, so you're going to put in custom-made welded handrails for someone, for a builder on a job, a commercial job or a residential job, right?
Yes.
How do you price that?
My husband bids that, and I do have a correction.
How does he do that? He doesn't even know what the heck he's doing. How does he know what price to put on it?
I do have a correction. We did make a profit for the first 3 years, and we poured that directly back into the company.
How do you know?
I guess I don't.
Okay.
I'm newer coming into this and just trying to figure out.
Okay, so the basics of business is we provide a good and or a service, in your case both, for a price that is greater than the cost to produce it.
Yes.
And the cost to produce it is the raw materials and the labor, in your all's case, and whatever equipment and whatever rent you have for the shop, and so forth. But you don't have a situation where you can afford a $17,000 a month rent.
Yes, and we have gotten out of that.
Okay, so where are you operating from now? Your basement?
No, we are going into another space. It's going to be $3,000 a month.
Much better. Okay.
Yes. So we've got
rent, and you said you've got 3 people left. What do those 3 people do?
Those are our fabricators and our installers.
Okay, so they actually do something. And so we've got the labor of those 3 people, plus a profit, plus the cost of rent, plus materials, plus other miscellaneous overhead. And so basically whatever all of that costs, you double it in your all's case, and that starts to be your price. It sounds like you're not pricing your stuff high enough, because in your world, what you're supposed to do from an accounting perspective is called job costing. Okay. Job costing means you run each individual job as if it is a standalone business.
Okay.
And so that rail system for I'm building a house. Somebody's going to be doing the exact same thing that you do, putting in railing in our house, okay? We've ordered it. It's on the way. I don't even know who it's coming from. Could be coming from y'all. I don't know. But so you look at that job and say that railing cost us X to produce in materials, Y in labor. X plus Y is our cost on that job, and then we allocate some of our overhead, which is rent, insurance, taxes, phone bill, etc., to each job. And then we mark up that number. And so we say we're going to take each job, we're going to add the actual cost of materials and labor, plus I'll just make up a number, 15% for overhead, plus 40% for profit. And now we have an actual price on the job. Then when the job is completed, you compare your actual billing or your actual bills associated with the job, the actual labor hours. You thought it was going to take 20 hours, it took 18. You thought it was going to take 20 hours, it took 30 hours. You compare your hours on the job, the labor, and your actual material billing associated with that job to what you thought it was going to be, called your estimate. And then that makes your estimating get better and better and better and more profitable and more profitable and more profitable. Because, in other words, if you thought it was going to take 20 hours and it took 30, next time you'll do a better job bidding that, right?
Yes. So for the first 4 years, we actually did that, and everything, as far as estimating and everything goes, worked out wonderfully. What happened was we took a job that highly exceeded. It was supposed to last for 9 weeks, and with problems on the job and everything, it actually lasted closer to 6 or 7 months. And so through that job not working out, which has never happened to us before, and it was the biggest job we've ever done. Through that job not working out, we got into vendor debt. And so right now, my actual question, or what we are trying to figure out, is we're just under $200,000 in vendor debt. And we are trying to figure out if it is worth going forward. We have the motivation to go forward and to get this done and to figure it out. But we're trying to figure out how to catch up on the debt, save for the future, and plan for our contracted jobs that we have.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, because I don't know how much profit you make, and you don't either. If your profit is $20,000 a year, no, you don't need to go forward.
Okay.
If your profit's $300,000 a year, of course you would go forward.
Okay.
But you don't know. I'm pretty sure we don't have $300,000, or we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Yes.
You'd have been slopping along, continuing to poorly do this in the middle of a great profit, and it would have covered up your mistakes. Your mistakes have been revealed by things being tight. And so that's what happens to me all the time. Every time, I hate that saying of Warren Buffett's that you can tell who was skinny dipping when the tide goes out, right? And so that's what happened. The tide went out, and it revealed your all's weaknesses here. And one of the lesson learned is you don't take jobs that size unless you're prepaid.
Yes.
And unless you have a walk-away provision where after 6 weeks you walk away.
Yeah. And we do not any longer want to have more than 5 employees. We're not doing those large jobs.
You could have 100 employees. I don't care, as long as you don't take a job that you can't manage. You couldn't manage this job, and you couldn't absorb the blow from it. It was too big. It wasn't the number of employees that was the problem. It was the job and the way the deal was structured and your terms of getting paid. That was your problem. Oh, honey, this is so terrifying for you. I wish I had a magic wand. But what you've got to do is you've got to dig into this and find out what's really happening with the business. It's almost like you need to do an accounting autopsy to figure out what happened to the patient to determine if it's worth going forward or not. I can't tell if you're making any money in this conversation.
Okay.
I suspect you're not.
Okay.
Because I think you guys have not been tracking your estimates back far enough. Because if what you told me was true, you have this sense, you were very confident a minute ago when you said, we've been doing job estimates, job costing, and if that was the case, you would be able to tell me instantly what your percentage of profit was, and you can't. So I don't think that's right information.
We did. So we were trying to track those things. We were using QuickBooks Online. And actually, we went to file taxes this year, and all of our books are entirely messed up. So if you have a suggestion for an accounting kind of software like that, I would be open to taking that. Right now, we had to go back to spreadsheets and that sort of thing. So I'm trying to catch up on all of those things so that we can actually file this year. So
I think you need a bookkeeper go to RamseySolutions.com and click on ELP and look at our tax pros and talk to one of them that does bookkeeping. You got to have somebody, and that if it's a good bookkeeper, they can help you put in place some basic accounting systems. And once you get that in place and get weeded through, aside from the debacle of the big job failure and this horrible cash pinch, which causes you to have to lay everybody off, then you can start to say, okay, we have the ability, if we do $800,000, to make $80,000 if we make a 10% profit after overhead and cost of goods sold on the jobs. And we can do that with a 3-person team. Well, then you've got a reason to think, okay, we can live on nothing. We can work our way through with these vendors. But if you look back on this and you're really making $20,000 a year, then you guys, he can make more than that just as a welder. He can make $100,000 as a welder, and for somebody else that can do the business part of it. And the good news is he's very employable. It's not what he wants to do. He wants to own his own thing, but so far you guys suck at it. So you've got to increase your business skills, not your welding skills, and so that you don't live in terror like this. My stomach's hurting just for you right now. I can feel the tension, and I remember that there's this uncertainty. It's like I'm standing on ice and it's cracking, and I don't know when I'm going to fall through. It's a really terrifying situation. So I'm sorry for you, but I think the only way out of it is accounting. The only way out of it is to start to do the basic stuff, and you can do it with spreadsheets if you want. QuickBooks is all right. It's not great job costing software, though. There's good job costing software in the construction world out there that you can get that's not that expensive. I don't have a name for you off the top of my head, but again, a good bookkeeper can lead you a long way on this. Wow. Seldom am I completely stumped, but I am. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast.